Okay, so today I'm going to talk about not getting into what I call the mix, which is the trade-off. You standing there toe-to-toe trading punches. For reality stuff, it's not the way to go. You're going to be at punching range, and it's inevitable at some stage or another you're going to get hit. And it may be a fluky punch, or it may be a well aimed, well placed, well timed punch, but the result could be the same. You could get knocked out, and then once you're out, you're at the mercy of your attackers. So we do what we can do not to get into a situation. If the situation presents itself or chooses us, then we do what we can do to de-escalate or make my escape. And if all of those again fail, and I have no other option, then I'm only left with fighting. Now, I don't want to be standing there trading punches with somebody. I certainly don't want to be standing there trading punches with more than one person. And I've got no way of assessing or gauging how many people might be with this one person who's being aggressive towards me. He could be the one being aggressive, and 5 of his mates could be at the bar. That's no good for me because I've got no idea of who's who. So I do not want to be hanging around. This is not about fighting, this is not about boxing, this is about surviving violence, and that's the real key there, is surviving. So we're going to talk about, not preemption here at the moment, although we do cover that. We're talking about covering your entrance and delivering the maximum amount of impact from the most devastating strikes that you can give. I want to be trying to knock this person out and take him out of the game as quickly as possible. I do not want to be standing there trading punches in the hope that I might get lucky or he might give up, because he could be a seasoned boxer or an MMA fighter or have real experience, or he could just be a real tough nut. He could be high on coke or some sort of other drugs, amphetamines. He could be pissed out of his head, and all of these things are just going to go against me. So I need to deliver the maximum amount of impact I can as quickly as possible without getting into some sort of a fray. So in order to do that, I want to be in close, and like I said before, I like that close distance. It's where I work best, it's where I feel most comfortable. The real key thing to be mindful of is obviously getting pulled down into a grapple situation, getting pulled to the floor, getting wrapped up. Again, you need to be mindful of that, because on the floor is not where you want to be. But anyway, we're not going to talk about that right now. Right now we're talking about bridging that distance and making sure that you are covered as you do so. Now, I like to use something I call forward drive. I heard it many years ago, and I like the term of it. I like the idea of it. It's going full force and closing that distance with speed and power and aggression. So if I'm looking to charge in at this guy, and our distance is too far away to be able to punch him straight away, okay, so it's a little bit further than conversation range. Now 9 times out of 10, or the majority of times, shall I say, you're going to get this kind of situation where you are 18 inches or 12 inches apart from the person who's been aggressive, because they want to be in your space. And that's why the fence is so vital, because you want to control this space. And from here, you would normally, or you would like to, try and strike off of the fence. But if this distance is a bit further, and I've got distance to cover, but I'm still within his punching range, okay? If I want to close in, there's a great chance that he's going to take me on the way in, which is extremely dangerous for me. So I like this particular one. This is just one particular technique that I use, that I like, and that's the front and side cover, okay? So you've probably seen this in loads of magazines and loads of different systems out there. It's widely known. I've just adopted it, something that I like and I use. So it's your normal side cover that you see in your boxing side cover, and then this hand just comes across to cover the face. So I've got all round protection, so I'm protected my side of the jaw on this side, my front of my jaw with the front, and I tuck myself nice and tight in here so that my jawline, as much as possible on this side of my neck, is covered by my bicep and my shoulder. Okay, so again, from nothing, I charge in like this. Okay, if I can, what I'm looking to do is to make contact with his sternum or his breastplate with my elbow. I'm driving in, and that's going to be like a battering ram. All this does is simply covers, and if I do come in against a punch, obviously it's a bit difficult to see because Bob's got no arms, but if it's going to be a right-handed punch, the majority of people are right-handed, then I'm looking to cover and then control that, but only for a fraction of a second. So from here, if I've got distance, so I'm slightly outside punching range, but he's, for instance, blocking my exit, okay, and I need to get past this chappie, I'm going to drive in with that cover, okay. So from here, drive straight in, forward drive. If I can push and drive forward using that and just push him out of the way, then I will do. If I can't, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to deliver an elbow strike, or a couple of elbow strikes, or headbutts, or maybe a combination of both. Okay, so I've come in here, I've got my forearm strike that I can deliver to the carotid artery. Okay, that's a pretty good knockout shot. If I want to go a little bit higher, I can get the jawline. Okay, but I always like to go for the soft tissue because it has, again, the maximum effect for the least amount of effort. Okay, and delivering a backhand strike with the forearm is it's quite a devastating strike to the carotid artery. Okay, so I've got that. From here, I've got this. I've also got my head that I can drive in to the bottom part of his chin. Obviously, Bob's a little bit taller than me, so I come in that way. You can always come lower and headbutt the solar plexus, which is a useful technique. Or from here, I've got my elbows and a combination of all three. Okay, so one more time, I'll do it a little bit slower. I've got this distance to cover. Bob's in my way, so I've made my decision to charge him. I'm charging in cover. If he's still presenting the threat and he's not moved, then I've got either pull this back and do a hammer fist to the jaw, to the chin. Okay, and then I can always come back with another hammer fist to the carotid artery or the jawline. You've also got the clavicle there as well. Or if I'm staying in close, I've got it to the carotid artery here. Headbutt, got a bicep shot, elbows, elbows, elbows. And elbows and head strikes, forearm strikes to the soft tissue, part of the neck and the body, are going to deliver the maximum amount of effort, the maximum amount of impact for the least amount of effort. I don't want to be hanging around and trading punches with this guy. The longer the fight goes on, the less chance I've got of getting out there unscathed. And we're talking the majority of fights last between 2 and 10 seconds the max, you know, for a realistic fight before someone gets hurt badly. Yeah, so again, you know, it's a bit unrealistic and it's a bit difficult to gauge without a live partner, but I'm using Bob obviously just as a point of reference so you get an idea of what it looks like. The main point here about this post is about getting close to him. Some people call it bridging a gap, but I don't really like that term because a lot of the time there is no gap there to bridge because he wants to be in my space. But if this between this moment in time where he's stood where he is and he hasn't made a decision to attack me and I'm stood where I am, but I have made a decision to escape or attack him first, but I'm not in preemptive shot range, so like this conversational range where I can strike and do whatever I need to do from here, I've got that small amount of distance to cover, and the real threat there is that he can tag me on the way in. You know, it doesn't have to be a professional boxer. It could just be a lucky shot. Like Jeff Thompson says, even monkeys fall out of trees. So everyone gets a lucky day, and I don't want to be at the end of his lucky day. So I want to make sure that I'm covering myself as much as possible as I enter. And the best way I found for that is either a double frontal cover, or I like this side and front cover as I charge in. And again, I use that as a battering ram. Okay, and I weigh just, I think